The covenant of Noah, a universal promise of preservation and moral order. The covenant of Noah stands as one of the most foundational covenants in the Bible, marking a pivotal moment in the relationship between God and humanity. Found in Genesis 6:9, it emerges in the aftermath of the flood, a catastrophic judgment on human wickedness, and represents a renewed beginning for creation. Unlike later covenants that focus on a particular people or nation, the Noahic covenant is universal, encompassing all humanity and every living creature on earth. It establishes God's promise never again to destroy the world by flood and introduces enduring principles of divine mercy, justice, and moral responsibility. This essay examines the covenant of Noah by exploring its historical context, key elements, significance, moral and theological implications, and its lasting relevance for humanity. Through this covenant, God reveals not only his power as judge, but also his compassion as sustainer of life and order. Historical and biblical context. The story of Noah unfolds against a backdrop of extreme moral corruption. Genesis 6 describes a world filled with violence and wickedness, prompting divine grief and judgment. Humanity's actions had disrupted the harmony of creation, leading God to cleanse the earth through the flood. Noah, however, is described as a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, who walked faithfully with God. Genesis 6:9. The flood narrative reflects ancient Near Eastern flood traditions, yet the biblical account is distinct in its theological emphasis. Rather than capricious gods acting out of rivalry or chaos, the God of Genesis acts morally, judging sin while preserving life through Noah and his family. After the waters recede and life begins anew, God establishes a covenant that defines the post-flood order of the world. Nature and parties of the covenant. The covenant of Noah is unconditional and universal, unlike conditional covenants that depend on human obedience. This covenant is based solely on God's promise. Its parties include God as the initiator and guarantor of the covenant, Noah and his descendants representing all humanity, every living creature, including animals and future generations. This universality distinguishes the Noahic covenant from later covenants, such as the Abrahamic or Mosaic covenants, which are more particular in scope. The covenant applies to all people, regardless of faith, nationality, or moral standing. Key elements of the covenant. God's promise. The central promise of the covenant is clear and absolute. Never again will God destroy all life on earth by a flood. This assurance brings stability to the natural world and establishes a dependable order of seasons and cycles. The promise emphasizes God's commitment to preserving creation despite humanity's ongoing imperfections. The sanctity of life. God affirms the sacredness of human life, declaring that humans are made in the image of God, Genesis 9:6. This principle underlies the prohibition against murder and introduces a moral framework for justice. Human life is not merely biological, but carries divine value and dignity. Human responsibility. While the covenant is unconditional, it still includes expectations for human behavior. Humanity is commanded to be fruitful and multiply, and to steward the earth responsibly. The allowance to eat meat is given, but with restrictions that respect life, such as the prohibition against consuming blood. The sign of the covenant, the rainbow. Every biblical covenant is marked by a sign, and for the Noahic covenant, this sign is the rainbow. God declares that the rainbow will serve as a reminder both to humanity and symbolically to God himself of his promise. The rainbow is rich in symbolism. It appears after storms, representing hope after judgment. It bridges heaven and earth, symbolizing divine-human connection. It is universal and visible to all, reflecting the covenant's scope. The rainbow reassures humanity that natural disasters are not signs of total annihilation, but part of a world governed by divine mercy. Theological significance. The covenant of Noah reveals several essential truths about God. God is merciful judge. Judgment is real, but it is not God's final word. Mercy follows judgment. God as sustainer of creation. God commits himself to preserving the world, even when humanity fails. God's faithfulness. The covenant depends on God's character, not human perfection. This covenant introduces the biblical theme that God chooses relationship over destruction, laying the groundwork for redemption history. Moral and ethical implications. The Noahic covenant provides a foundation for universal ethics. The emphasis on the sanctity of life supports principles of justice, human rights, and moral accountability because the covenant applies to all people. It suggests that certain moral laws are universally binding, not culturally or religiously limited. It also establishes a framework for environmental stewardship. God's promise to preserve creation implies human responsibility to care for it. Exploitation and violence against the earth contradict the covenant's spirit. Relationship to later covenants. The covenant of Noah serves as the baseline for all subsequent biblical covenants. Without the preservation of the world, no further redemptive plan would be possible. Later covenants build upon it. The Abrahamic covenant focuses on blessing and promise. The Mosaic covenant introduces law and obedience. The Davidic covenant emphasizes kingship. The new covenant fulfills redemption through Christ. All these depend on the stability guaranteed by the Noahic covenant. Contemporary relevance. In today's world, the covenant of Noah remains deeply relevant. It speaks to global concerns such as environmental crises, violence, and moral responsibility. The covenant reassures humanity that despite chaos and disaster, the world is not abandoned. The rainbow continues to be a powerful symbol of hope, reminding people of divine faithfulness and the possibility of renewal after destruction. It challenges humanity to live responsibly within a world sustained by grace rather than deserving annihilation. The covenant of Noah is a profound declaration of God's commitment to life, order, and mercy, emerging from the devastation of the flood. It transforms judgment into hope and chaos into stability as a universal and unconditional covenant. It affirms the value of all creation and establishes enduring moral principles that transcend time and culture. Through this covenant, God reveals himself not only as judge, but as faithful preserver of the world. The rainbow stands as an eternal sign that destruction is never God's final intention. Restoration is, in a world still marked by human failure. The covenant of Noah remains a powerful reminder that grace undergirds existence and that hope endures beyond judgment. Noah's children, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their role in human history. The story of Noah is one of the most well-known narratives in the Bible, centered on divine judgment, mercy, and renewal. While Noah himself is often the primary focus, his children Shem, Ham, and Japheth play a crucial role in the continuation of humanity after the flood. According to the biblical account in Genesis 6:10, these three sons became the ancestors of all post-flood nations. Their actions, character, and destinies significantly shaped biblical history and theological understanding. This essay explores the identity and role of Noah's children by examining their background, individual characteristics, the incident of Noah's drunkenness, the blessings and curse pronounced by Noah, and the long-term theological and historical significance of their lineages. Through this discussion, the importance of obedience, respect, and moral responsibility in shaping human destiny becomes evident. Background: Noah and his family. Noah lived in a time when the world was filled with corruption and violence. God chose Noah because he was righteous and faithful. Among his generation, Genesis 6:9, when God decided to cleanse the earth through the flood, Noah was instructed to build the ark and bring his family with him. Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, along with their wives, were saved from destruction. After the flood, Noah and his family became the new beginning of humanity. Just as Adam's children populated the first world, Noah's children repopulated the renewed earth. For this reason, Noah is often described as the second father of humanity. The identity of Noah's children. Shem is often presented as the most prominent of Noah's sons. His name is frequently mentioned first in biblical genealogies, suggesting honor or spiritual importance. From Shem came the Semitic peoples, including the Hebrews. Most importantly, Abraham, the patriarch of Israel, descended from Shem's line. Because of this, Shem is often viewed as the bearer of God's redemptive plan, which later unfolds through Israel and ultimately, in Christian belief, through Jesus Christ. Ham is described as the father of Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan, his descendants. Settled in parts of Africa and the Near East, Ham's story is closely linked to the controversial incident involving Noah's nakedness. Unlike Shem and Japheth, Ham acted disrespectfully toward his father, an action that resulted in serious consequences for his lineage. Although Ham himself is not directly cursed, his son Canaan becomes the object of Noah's curse, highlighting the generational impact of moral failure. Japheth is often associated with expansion and blessing. His descendants settled in regions that later became Europe and parts of Asia. Japheth's line is linked with growth, migration, and cultural development. Noah's blessing upon Japheth emphasized enlargement and peaceful coexistence, suggesting that Japheth's descendants would prosper and share in the blessings of Shem. The incident of Noah's drunkenness. One of the most significant episodes involving Noah's children occurs in Genesis 9:20-27. After the flood, Noah planted a vineyard, drank wine, and became drunk. Lying uncovered in his tent, Ham saw his father's nakedness and told his brothers, while Shem and Japheth respectfully covered Noah without looking at him. This event is crucial because it reveals the moral character of Noah's sons. Ham showed disrespect and dishonor. Shem and Japheth demonstrated respect, discretion, and obedience. The story emphasizes the importance of honoring parents, a value later reinforced in the Ten Commandments. The blessing and curse. When Noah awoke and learned what had happened, he pronounced prophetic words over his sons. Canaan, the son of Ham, was cursed to be a servant of servants. Shem was blessed and God was praised as the God of Shem. Japheth was blessed with expansion and association with Shem. These pronouncements are not merely personal reactions, but are understood as prophetic declarations, shaping future nations. The curse on Canaan later explains Israel's conflict with the Canaanites, while the blessings point to God's unfolding plan in history. The Table of Nations, Genesis 10, often called the Table of Nations, traces the descendants of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. This chapter shows how all known nations of the ancient world originated from Noah's sons. Shem's descendants include the Israelites, Assyrians, and Arameans. Ham's descendants include Egyptians, Canaanites, and Cushites. Japheth's descendants include Greeks and other Indo-European peoples. This genealogy highlights the Bible's teaching that all humanity shares a common origin, reinforcing human unity despite cultural and ethnic diversity. Theological significance. The story of Noah's children carries deep theological meaning. Human responsibility, salvation from the flood did not remove moral responsibility. Generational impact actions have consequences beyond the individual. God's sovereignty. God's plan continues despite human weakness. Unity of humanity. All nations come from one family. The narrative shows that even after divine renewal, humanity still struggles with sin, making redemption necessary. Moral and ethical lessons. From the lives of Noah's children, several moral lessons emerge. Respect for authority and family is essential. Moral choices affect future generations. Blessing often follows obedience. God values humility and honor. These lessons remain relevant in family life. Society and faith communities today, contemporary relevance. In a modern context, the story of Noah's children reminds people of shared human origins and mutual responsibility. It challenges racial division as all humanity descends from the same family. It also warns that moral failure can have long-lasting effects. While faithfulness can bring blessing beyond one's lifetime, the narrative encourages individuals to act with integrity, knowing their choices influence not only themselves, but future generations. Conclusion. Noah's children, Shem, Ham, and Japheth played a vital role in shaping post-flood humanity. Through their actions, blessings, and descendants, the Bible presents a framework for understanding human history, morality, and divine purpose. Their story illustrates that while God offers new beginnings, human responsibility remains essential. Ultimately, the account of Noah's children teaches that respect, obedience, and faithfulness lead to blessing, while dishonor and wrongdoing bring lasting consequences. Their legacy continues to influence biblical theology and serves as a timeless lesson for all generations. Thank you for watching.